like
Really? Welcome to our 6-6 NBA preview Pacific Division. So this is our week 2 of our NBA preview. We're doing obviously a different division, the West Coast. We're staying in the West Coast, and yes, we will be starting with the Golden State Warriors. But I did want to go over real quick, just like last time. Whoever it was, if you were here last time. If not, I'm going over it anyway. Go over it again. These projected lineups are my assuming who's starting. I don't know
you
exactly
know,
who's starting yet. It's just an
Joel the
assumption.
new Woj. We don't got Woj anymore, so
Yeah,
it's a Joel bomb now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have I don't know that much. I only can assume based on my knowledge from last season and just educated guessing. That's all it really is.
We'll get a soundboard so that way I can have a sound effect for you.
I would love a soundboard on all of our shows. We just haven't somehow put that together yet. We're working on it.
I don't know where to get a soundboard. That's my problem.
I would love a soundboard. We got to work on that for sure. I would love that. But that's a problem for another time. Back to the division. Yes. Pull that Golden State Warriors card back up, please. Gracias.
Shout out to our man in the sky.
The man in the
Trayvon.
sky.
Shout out
Thank
to
you,
Trayvon.
Nerd with the tech. Thank you, sir. Anyway, we're going to go through the Golden State Warriors real quick. Pacific Division. Obviously, the Golden State Warriors aren't what they used to be, but they are still in the division and I would still say, are a force in some capacity, even if they're not what they used to be. Let's go with the projected starters. As of right now, I have it as Steph Curry, Buddy Hield, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, and Trace Jackson Davis. The bench is made up, as you can see, of Brandon Podziemski, or Pods as they call him, Jonathan Kuminga, Anthony Melton, Kyle Anderson, Kayvon Looney, guys like that. And then there are some guys that left off, like Gary Payton and Moses Moody. I'm sure they'll get minutes, but I just don't see that they have. I would have to. The only way I see them get minutes is if someone gets hurt. That's why I really didn't add them. TJV, yes, sir. We're back to sports.
Joel, if you wanted to explain to DJV why we're doing this on Wednesday.
You got it. I will explain. Let me just finish the losses and additions, and I'll go back to explaining why we switched shit up. Anyway, key losses: Klay Thompson, Chris Paul, Dario Saric. Some guys that will not be returning to Golden State this year, and guys that will be, as I mentioned earlier, Buddy Hield, Anthony Milton, and Kyle Anderson are new bodies to add to the team and help. Let's see. We'll see what happens. But anyway,
I'm not confident at all.
I'm not. I don't hate it. We'll see. We'll discuss. Anyway, the point is, we're doing. I just realized that we are doing the NBA preview today instead of Thursday because Agatha starts today, and we want to discuss it. And we wouldn't be able to discuss it if we had the show today instead of tomorrow. So we're going to move our normal geeky show to Thursday, our normal show, and we'll just do the NBA preview today going forward. For that reason. So Agatha, so we could at least have a chance to talk Agatha on Thursday. So yeah, anyway, that's why we're doing that. Sorry I didn't explain that earlier. I should have explained that sooner. Anyway, back to the Warriors. Real quick, I don't hate this team. I do. It is going to be weird. It is an end of an era with the Warriors. No more Klay Thompson. That's going to be weird. I mean, we've seen the team without Klay Thompson before. I think it'll be probably weirder seeing Klay on a different team than the Warriors without Klay Thompson in general. But I do look forward to seeing what they can do with Buddy next to Steph. Not that that's going to help defensively, but at least offensively, you might have a hell of a shooting backcourt. That bench, I like Melton and Anderson, but I'm not sure that's enough to solidify that bench. I like Pods a lot. Good player. Kuminga, I like a lot. I'm not sure if his future is with Golden State, but they seem to really be really high on him. But we'll see. What do you guys think?
Klay Thompson is in Dallas.
Yes.
Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. No, I'm only saying that, Ditch. I'm not sure how familiar DJV is with the teams.
Oh, very
That's
nice of him to
fair.
ask. Yeah, we'll get to that division next week. But yeah, he's moved on to Dallas. But Joanne, what do you think?
So this, I'm with you and not loving it. To me, I'm sorry, and I know there's probably stats to disprove what I'm going to say, but Buddy Hield and Andrew Wiggins are probably going to be their biggest cancers heading into next season. Watching Buddy Hield against the Knicks in the playoffs, essentially, he was as absent as Tobias Harris, and I don't think people know how hard that is. Tobias Harris is the most invisible basketball player I've ever seen in NBA history. So to know that you were right next to him and being as, non-helpful to your team as he was in that series, I don't know what Buddy Hield we're going to get. I don't know what Wiggins we're going to get. Because when they won a championship, Wiggins looked like he was easily maybe their second best player.
I think he was also that year.
Right, exactly. And let's not act like Wiggins' issue was he got less touches or, you know what I'm saying, he was coming off this massive injury. Like, it just seems to be a care thing. And it seems like he checked the box, right? All-Star, championship, I'm good. That's what it seems like. I can't speak to his actual mindset, but I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know how much more Draymond can give you. I think he'll just be the guy that just gets ejected to get the team hype, I guess, is his role now. I also don't know. Right, exactly. I would say the biggest bright spot for me is probably going to be Kuminga and seeing how Kuminga steps into his role going forward, because they're looking for it to be his team going forward. So how do you rise to that? And my biggest question mark is I don't understand how Kevon Looney is always making the starting five, then not making the starting five, then making the starting five. Like I don't get
know. I don't know either. He's been in and out of that lineup like insanely amount. And in the playoffs, he did not start until I think the last couple games of the series, where they had no choice because they felt like they were getting destroyed on the boards. And that's when they're like, we got to put Kayvon back in. I'm like, well, no one told you to take him out.
That's very possible.
Jackson Davis gives him a little more athleticism. That's probably what they wanted, so they can move a little quicker. But he can't. Unfortunately, he just doesn't. He's still young. Maybe that'll change, but he doesn't board. He doesn't have the strength that Kayvon Looney had. That's really what it comes down to. Because in terms of size, they're around the same size. But Kayvon's a vet and has been around the block and has won multiple championships with this team. So that's really what it comes down to. I'm sure any team will take him off their hands if they don't want him.
And this is definitely one of the worst benches heading to the NBA season of a possible contender team. This is
call them a contender.
Yeah,
I mean,
as long as you
got Steph, you are kind of a contender.
They won a championship. They did not come into the season with us going, they're going to win a championship. They very much came into the season with us going, they're pretty old. We don't know what we're going to get out of Clay anymore. We don't really know how far Steph can carry this team. And remember, out of nowhere, Jordan Poole, out of nowhere, Andrew Wiggins. So I'm like, it could very likely be the same recipe. It just, your pieces have to show up. And that'll be Buddy Hield and Wiggins. But Didge, as I pass this to you, I have this question that's been on my mind about Golden State all offseason, especially with everything that happened in the Olympics. Will the thing holding this team back be the players or Steve Kerr? And if it's Steve Kerr, is it maybe time to move on now so you don't waste Steph years? Or do you owe Steve Kerr at least seeing how far this team can go? Didge. Oh, wait, can't hear you.
I'm muted.
Got you. Got you.
I'm perfect.
Got you.
I had no idea.
Joe, you good?
Oh, he's back. All right, good.
Okay, go ahead, Didge.
Wait, is it does it seem like it's a delay? It seems like it's a delay on me.
Just a little bit of one, but I mean, you did tell us that you muted yourself, so
okay.
I think we're good now. Yeah, I think we're good.
Well, to ask your question one more time. You said is it going to be the players or Steve Kerr, right?
Is it going to be the players or Steve Kerr? And if you think it's Steve Kerr, should you maybe look to make a coaching move sooner rather than later, or do you owe it to Steve Kerr to just ride it out?
I don't think you can fire him.
Okay.
Regardless of whether or not what you believe, I think he's given too much to this, like, to the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the fans will accept it. Like, I think they're kind of in a state right now. Like, you know, with Steph, you always have a chance. Like, Steph is kind of not LeBron tier where you're like, you guys can go crazy or it can be really bad.
Right.
But I think they're kind of in that acceptance of, well, we got to kind of see the twilight of this career. Now, if we're playing with house money, if we go far or, you know, we win. But if we don't, well, we're sort of living out those glory years. We're doing almost a preseason in regular season. We're hoping that we're starting to put together pieces for the next. So it's tough for me. I actually don't mind the team. I don't think that they're not championship ready. And then, like, unless Steph goes crazy, but I feel like they're kind of like that 6 to 10 is like that's probably their ceiling. Okay. And I think that's just kind of where Golden State fans have to live with right now because, like I said, this is the twilight of that career.
Yeah. Interesting. No, I mean, look, I've always been of the mindset that I always thought these two things couldn't go together. That you have a player of Steph or LeBron's caliber, but then, you know, you're kind of saying you're playing with house money. I kind of feel like when you have those guys, it is always championship or bust, right? No matter how your team changes, you are expected. And, you know, we might be spoiled in this respect, but we're so used to seeing LeBron carry garbage. It's like if you don't make the playoffs or if you don't seem competitive, it's a you thing. It's not your team because you've taken worse, right? So it's like I'm only saying that because with the Pacific Division we're going through today, it seems like that might be the same mindset I have with Kawhi, with LeBron, and the Phoenix Suns is with the idea of, I'm sorry, when you have a Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, LeBron James, it is always going to be championship or bust. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how I have.
Wait, who was that third name you said?
LeBron Kevin Durant.
James? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what I heard. I don't know who I thought I heard.
Kawhi?
Yeah. I swear I thought I heard Kawhi. That's all I was like.
No, I did say Kawhi in there. Kawhi was in there. Yeah, Kawhi was in there.
I don't know if you can always say Kawhi is for sure guaranteed championship or bust.
No. Here's my thing. A, with the money you're being paid. B, with the status you have. Kawhi is considered a top 10 player. And a top 10 player with the team that you had or have, you should be the guy that's making your team a championship contender. Now, if something happens that you get, knocked out, it happens. But to not consider a Kawhi Leonard-led team a championship team, I think we've been giving him a pass for way too long. And I think we can't have it both ways. We can't say he's elite, but we don't hold him to the same standards that we do the other elite players.
I guess that's where I'm differing because what is it? The best ability is availability.
Mm-hmm.
At some point when you're consistently injured and you're consistently missing time, and I don't know how much time he missed last year. I think it was like less than a lot of people thought, but you kind of can't be elite because you're not there. You're not there enough. Like, you're a phenomenal player. You are on the precipice of it. Don't get me wrong.
You played 68 games.
Again, that's a lot more than I think a lot of people thought.
That's
a lot more.
The first round.
So
he got hurt in the playoffs.
I get what you're saying, Didge, but we've seen it. I mean, Embiid was still considered elite, and that man misses a lot of time, often. That man's elite. People consider Anthony Davis elite, and we know the problems he has. You could breathe wrong, and Anthony Davis is out for 3 years. So
I just, at some point, and maybe we're getting into a larger conversation of player that we need to discuss who is actually elite or not. But your availability definitely has to go into your status as elite, because again, I don't care if you can put up 45, 20, and 20, but if you're playing 40 games, that doesn't mean shit to me, because the other 42 games in the playoffs, it's 0-0 and 0 because you're not there.
Okay, then Joel, I definitely want, because I think the show ends the week before the season starts. The week of the season starting, I do want us to put together our top 10 players in the league, because I do think that is, Didge, I think you're making a great point. I don't believe that if you've been elite for as long as we've considered Kawhi to be elite, you just magically aren't elite anymore because of injury. Because I don't think Anthony Davis stops being elite. I don't think if Joel Embiid misses time next year, he's also not elite. But I do agree with you. It's a deeper conversation to have because it's multi-layered.
I definitely want to talk more about Kawhi when we get to the Clippers. We're not there yet, but
yeah, it's fair. I don't know how we even got to. Oh, I know how we got to Kawhi. Yeah, that was my fault.
That's
no,
okay.
No. You're good.
We're gonna end up talking about it soon. So let's just finish up at Golden State. We'll get back to it. Actually, I think they're next, but let's just finish up here. Then we can move on to the Clippers. Anyway, I basically said everything I had to say about the Warriors, more or less. I feel. I mean, look, I don't hate the team. It's just They're like in this weird flux of like they're getting old. They're starting to transition. They're also trying to bring in their new young guys, even though some of the old, like this, they were already trying to replace those young guys. I mean, the old guys with the young guys, and they've already decided some of those guys were not going to work out, so they shipped them out. Wiseman's gone, Poole's gone. Unfortunately, certain things did not work out. But their new crop, like Pods and Kuminga, that's the future for them. At least that's how they feel. So they want to bring them up, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they're in the starting lineup, like towards the end of the year. And maybe we'll see some of these other guys come off the bench instead. So go ahead.
I just want to add one quick thing, because I know Woj was talking about this not too long ago, and maybe it is still in play for Golden State. I think the only way to revive Golden State's career this season to where you can be actually competitive, you got to go out there and force Utah's hand at Lauri Markkanen. You got to. Like, you have to. Lauri Markkanen with this team, I think, could be phenomenal.
Yeah,
for both him and Steph.
I think they have to wait till trade deadline for that, because it's got to be a couple.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
they just signed him to that contract, so they got to wait a couple months.
For sure, but do you agree that they need something like that?
Yeah, I do believe if something that I think they should consider, maybe possibly moving Kuminga if that's what they want. I really think they should consider that, especially with Steph Curry's window not as big as some others. He's getting older. He's still 35, going to be 36 soon. Or he is 36. I'm not sure exactly, but he's somewhere around there. So yeah, they got to either invest in going at one more run or just go all in young. I mean, what are you gonna do? You still have Draymond, Steph. You're still paying them for I forget how long, so take advantage. Anyway,
to answer that question.
I was just about to say. I wanted someone to answer that question for DJ.
The minimum amount of games you could play. So we're saying 82 game season, then swept the first 3 rounds is 94. So that's the least amount of games you could play to be in the championship game, and it can go up from there.
Right, because that's if you sweep.
That's sweeping the first 3 rounds. Obviously, you're not going to play in the play-in if you're, theoretically. No, because play-in will be more games anyway. So, the minimum amount is you didn't play the play-in. You swept the first 3 rounds. You had the 82-game season. That's 12 extra games.
Okay. Before we move on, Didge, I just want to ask you. I just want to get your opinion real quick. Would Lauri Markkanen on this team alter your thoughts on how far Golden State could go?
Not really.
Okay.
6 to 10. Maybe they. I don't know. I think they could possibly win the play-in as they are now, but I don't see addition of Lauri Markkanen taking them out that ceiling of the first round. This team just doesn't seem strong enough.
Okay. Right.
No disrespect to Steph.
They need a little bit more.
Steph is liable to just will themselves to.
Well, we know it won't come down to Steph. It'll come down to Buddy Hield, Wiggins, Kuminga. It'll come down to those guys because Steph is going to be Steph,
Right.
So that won't make a difference. It'll come down to the other guys, and that's why I say you got to go get marketing because at least he can put up numbers with Steph.
That's something they have to live with because if they give up, because they're gonna want Podzimski or Kuminga or both, and you got to go like, are they worth giving up your future for marketing? And that's really what they're looking at. That's a question for them.
That's fair.
So we'll see where they decide in the next couple of months. Anyway, let's move on from Golden State. Let's move over to Los Angeles, to the Clippers. The man
I was
of
going
the
to say,
hour,
which Los
Kawhi Leonard.
Angeles?
Yes, Los Angeles Clippers. They actually have a new arena, I believe. They're starting out this year. I think
Yes, I think you are correct. The one in
obviously
Inglewood.
Yeah, the Inglewood Arena. I forget what it's called exactly. But I heard it's really nice. They obviously have new logo this year, new colors. So it's all fresh start for the Clippers
The
here.
Intuit Dome.
The Intuit Dome, right? That sounds cool. So we'll see how it is. Anyway, my projected starters for this Los Angeles Clippers team: James Harden, Terrence Mann, Derek Jones Jr., Kawhi Leonard, and Ivica Zubac. Anyway, the bench: Norm Powell, Chris Dunn, Amir Coffey, Nick Batum, Obama, Kevin Porter Jr. At least I believe will be some of the guys that get those minutes. Key losses for the Clippers this summer were Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and Mason Plumlee, who were part of that rotation. And then key additions, obviously, Derek Jones Jr., who was on the Mavericks last year, Chris Dunn, Nick Batum, Obama, and Kevin Porter Jr., who was exiled for a little bit.
So Obama was.
No one was in Philly last year with the Sixers.
I was thinking about him the other day, random. No, the song came on. I was like,
I was just about to say.
That's why it was. And I was like, wonder where he plays now.
I'm missing me some Obama. We've never even had Obama. Anyway, we're gonna move on to the Clippers, like I was saying. A team that you could say took a step back because you lost Paul George.
Can you?
You can. I mean, you lost a star, and you didn't get one back. So that, and in that regard, you could say you lost something. Yeah.
Oh yes, lost something, but step back is. I think that's crazy.
It is a step back. You lost a star. How would you look at that?
I look at it as, I think with or without Paul George, you have a cap. Like this team's just it's not good enough to
that
go
cap is
where it
smaller
needs to
now.
go.
That's where
I think it's the same. If Kawhi Leonard can stay healthy, I think he can get them exactly to where they were last year.
Unfortunately, Kawhi Leonard is never healthy, and that's usually his problem. So, so the problem is here, they replaced Paul George basically with Derek Jones Jr., who was a nice glue guy for Dallas last year. He had a
That's a definite step back.
So yeah, unfortunately, it's not an upgrade.
That's easily a step back.
I'm not saying losing Russell Westbrook was a bad thing, but they replaced him with Chris Dunn, great defender. Little else. Norm Powell's always been a reliable scorer for them off the bench. Amir Coffey, solid wing, young. Nick Batum, solid vet. Mo Bamba there. Kevin Porter Jr. When he wants to, he's actually a pretty good player, but we'll see. I mean, he did have
hands to himself.
Obviously, yes, he had some off-court issues that hopefully he can get past because did not look good at all. I'm surprised he made it back. So you better thank God he is back. But overall, I think the Clippers, it's hard to say that they look better. They might play better because they're probably going to have to depend on everybody as opposed to just relying all on Paul George and Kawhi. Maybe this is what they needed, but at the end of the day, it's hard to look at on paper and say that they're a better team. So we'll see. So what do you guys think?
I think I want to slap the person that ever tried to put James Harden in the same conversation as Dwayne Wade. I just want to throw that out there. But as far as this team, no, because I'm thinking to myself of like Harden has never had a massive injury, right? Or massive injury problems. His talent just disappeared. Like his talent just left. He's not the same player he was, and nothing caused it. I don't know if maybe it was the weight fluctuating because he was trying to force his way out of places, so you just ate. I don't know if that's what it was. I don't know, but I say that to say I look at him and I'm just like, this team goes as far as Kawhi Leonard can lead it, unless James Harden can turn back the clock. And who knows, maybe he can for a year. But this is a team that I'm sorry, I put at the lower half of the West, as low as you could possibly get.
As low as you could possibly.
Lower
half, not even playoffs.
Because think of this. If you're telling me that Kawhi Leonard is an injury problem, he now does not have the luxury of relying on Paul George to carry that team while he's out. So if there's no Kawhi Leonard for 45 to 60 games next year, is this a playoff team without him? You taking out Kawhi Leonard and giving me Nicholas Batum?
But he didn't miss 40 games. He missed what? 14?
No. You're absolutely right. I'm saying if we're going by Kawhi Leonard's history, if he does, that's a big if. I'm not wishing any or putting anything out there, but if he does, this team, Didge, I look at this team the same way you were getting at me about the Utah Jazz. That's how I view this team with no Kawhi Leonard. That's exactly what this team is. I'm sorry, James Harden has not shown me that he can carry a team. Since leaving Houston. I'm sorry, he just has not. So for me, I see this team with Kawhi Leonard healthy majority of the season, if not a massive bulk of the games. I see them around 6, 7, 8. Without Kawhi Leonard, enjoy the lottery.
Interesting. So this team was 51-31 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Juwan might be right. I just I tried to look at every other way around it. It's this team. I don't even think they're the best team in this division anymore. We'll get to that later, but I think this is another team that's sort of playing against time, right? Like James Harden is definitely getting older. Kawhi Leonard is injury prone and getting older. Like, even though he played a lot of games last year, like you said, he missed time in the first round. So injuries, even if they don't pop up for a majority of the season, they seem to pop up at inopportune moments. Right. And nobody looking at their bench is like young and like ready to, they're about to take the next step. Like none of their bench players are like that. Ooh, Jamie.
Ooh, yes.
Right. That threw me off. Ooh.
Yeah. Hold on, I got you, buddy.
We're not there yet. Come back in a couple weeks.
I don't even know if I want to
Jamie,
talk about that team.
I'd much rather respond to this comment. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
But no, I think, like I said, when Juwan said this team's going to go as far as Kawhi Leonard takes them, he's absolutely right, because if he's not there, I just don't see who else they got. I don't know if a twosome of Terrence Mann and James Harden are going to lead them to the promised land.
There's more. There's going to be more opportunity now for James Harden to take.
That is true.
That James Harden, that Paul George didn't have, but he is, like you said, getting older. Not like he hasn't heard of being injured in the past himself. Terrence Mann will probably get more chance to shine too. I like Terrence Mann, but
right.
Man averaged 8 points, almost 9 points last year.
Can I say this real quick, Joel? I think the biggest problem the Clippers faced is, and I don't know how available this option was, I'm just putting it out there. The fact that you did not explore a sign and trade for Paul George, there is nothing attractive on this roster that you could even make a play for in the trade deadline to enhance this team. Maybe a small piece here or there, but there's nothing you could do to swing the pendulum by trade deadline with this team. So that's where I'm saying
you have to make a splash.
That's what I'm saying. But you wouldn't be able to. I don't think they have the assets to make a splash, whether it's draft picks or players. Look at this team. What is somebody gonna want? Realistically, what is someone gonna want?
Their best piece. It's tough. They're young. Their best young piece was Ban. He's getting older. He's almost 30.
Now, I will say this, Joel. I did hear a Clippers fan throw this around, right? And again, I'm just saying it because I'm like, it would tremendously help the Clippers, but No, it would definitely help both sides. So the trade that they proposed was, if by the trade deadline this team is not doing what they need to be doing, but they're hanging around, right? And just bear with me, Joel. And the Knicks are around 3-4, right? They're like, why not do Julius Randle for Kawhi Leonard? That way, even if Kawhi Leonard is not always healthy, the Knicks have shown they can do work without their four, right? And if you're the Clippers, it at least gives you somebody that can help you win games. And if not, is young enough to be your leading piece through a rebuild. And when I thought of that, I'm just like, yeah, it could work for both sides. But to me, I'm just like, as long as you're not asking for draft picks back, because I think we're fine where we're at. So I'm not giving you draft picks for Kawhi Leonard. I'll give you straight up throw in a Jericho Sims, but
maybe
I'm not giving you draft picks. You know?
I mean, at this point, it really depends, because I wouldn't do it, but at the same time, like, I consider it. I'm not saying I wouldn't consider it.
I'd consider it only because we could have a starting five that plays defense. A full starting five that plays defense.
I get that. Yeah,
so I'm like, I'm not against it.
It'd be insane.
Right. But it would definitely, in my opinion, help the Clippers more than it would the Knicks. Because now you're 100% worrying about Mitchell Robinson and Kawhi Leonard missing time. Right? Yeah. Now instead of it being a one-player problem, it's a two-player problem.
Yeah, even though,
you know?
For sure.
So, but I just wanted to throw that out there because I'm like, there's nothing attractive about this team that they could even go to it.
But if they trade Leonard, that means they're blowing it up, and that's good.
Yeah, because they don't have a draft. If I'm reading this correctly, they don't have a pick next year.
That's what I'm saying. They don't even they don't have assets. They gave everything to get the team that they have.
This could be the year where it's like, oh well, we got to blow this shit up, or there's a surprise in here somewhere that we're not seeing.
It happens every year. So
yeah, it happens. Like you said, it happens. Yeah. We'll never know. Hopefully for them, but we'll see. Since we ain't on the horse, oh Jesus, DJV. He don't know. Well, let's see.
Do I have the hat nearby? Oh, I don't have the hat nearby.
I myself am a New York Knicks fan. Where we'll get to that division in a couple weeks. Jawan is also a New York Knicks fan.
Yeah.
And Ditch is also a New York Knicks fan.
Well, that's a lie. That is a goddamn lie. I am a Milwaukee Bucks fan. Giannis is my favorite player. You can go down the list. Second favorite player is Dame Lillard. Third favorite player is Chris Middleton. We'll keep going.
I like it. He's loyal.
Now, DJV, just so you know, don't let Didge naming players sway you to believe that he's a Bucks fan. He could name Knicks players too. So
I cannot. I can name.
Don't let him sway you. He can.
I'm sure
he can name them.
I'm sure you can name the starting five.
Yeah, you can definitely name.
Can I name y'all starting?
Yeah, Didge. Stop playing.
No, yes, I really might not be able to.
Okay, let me ask you this: can you name 5 players on our team?
Yeah, I mean, I can name 5. I can name 5 players on probably every team.
So then there you go. So again, DJV, don't let him trick you. He came to New York.
He only named 3 players.
He came to New York, and he loved it so much, he bought property here.
No, I don't have the money for that.
DJV doesn't believe you. But no, Didge is a Bucks fan, and me and Joel are Knicks fans. And Trayvon is Knicks fan. That's not really a team, but in his mind it is.
It makes him a Knicks fan.
Yes, through proxy. Yes. She's or whatever NBA player she names. That's
I was gonna say, what if she's a Brooklyn fan?
No.
Yeah, that's
I don't know what her fandom is. You never know.
She's a New Yorker, and that team is too new for her to be a Nets fan. Yeah, that shouldn't be.
Sorry, Nets fans.
See. We told you guys. We told you.
Yeah,
we told you.
You wouldn't even know their names wasn't for her. Anyway, moving on. The Clippers was just fun, guys. I do look forward to seeing how this team progresses and how they do. They're definitely going to be interesting to keep an eye on. But we're going to move over to the next LA team, which is always the big name in everyone's mouth, ESPN specifically. This is one of the
Sixers fan.
She's a who fan?
Sixers fan.
Who is?
Oh, yikes.
Apparently, Nicki Minaj. I don't know how true that is. That's the only team I've seen her. They that like Bleacher Report and stuff like, oh, this is their super fan.
Fuck out of here. I'll do that. Anyway,
that might have been during the time of Dayton Meek.
That's what I'm wondering.
That's why
that might have been that. Yeah. So we won't put too much into that because that's definitely bullshit. No one's a Sixers fan.
Blasphemous. Not
no one's a Sixers.
Anyway, back to the other LA team, even though technically the Clippers are the other LA team. Nikki, name. Oh, that's great.
Go ahead, Joe.
I'm sure she has. The Los Angeles Lakers, one of the bigger teams in the league. This fucking team, especially with LeBron on it, there's no team talked about more in this goddamn league. It seems like. Anyway, my projected starters for this LA team: D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves. Well, I'll get there. Give me a second. Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. The bench. This is hard, guys. Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, the rookie Dalton Connect, Jared Vanderbilt, Jackson Hayes, Christian Wood. Not the greatest bench.
Is Bronny James not in that bench?
Give me a second. No, he got to get minutes over those guys. So it's gonna be tough. Key losses: Taurean Prince. That actually bigger than you thought looking at that bench. And then you have the key additions. Again, the rookies don't connect to Bronny James. I only reason I put Bronny James as a key addition is because of his name more so than his actual talent. No offense to him as a player, but the drama behind just the fact that LeBron is able to play with his son. That's who Bronny James Jr. is. That's who this is. LeBron James has his son on his team this year. This is like the first time ever a father-son duo ever on a team. That's why this is such a big deal. Not because Bronny's a great player, not that he won't be. Just saying, the reason I have him as a key addition is because it's an interesting headline. This has never been done, so I thought it would be something fun to talk about. The Lakers. What was their record last year? Anybody got that?
Give me 1 second. I just had it up.
Because I know for a fact that they had high hopes, obviously. Obviously, since LeBron got there, they've had high hopes. You don't get LeBron and not have high hopes, right? You want you're a championship team every year, or at least you plan to be.
They were 47-35.
47-35. They were playing team, or were they the 8th seed? Or did they play in to get to the 8th seed?
They were playing to get to the 8th seed.
Okay, so they barely made it there, sadly. And look at the way the team is constructed. Look, AD and LeBron.
Actually, they were the 7th seed. I'm sorry, because they played in to get to the 7th seed. But yeah, they were the 7th seed.
Do they play like twice a week? No, they play like
3-4 times.
Yeah, 2-3 times, 3 or 4 times a week, basically. Sometimes you'll get, there'll be 2, but you feel it when there's like 2 games. Like, damn, only 2 times this week.
Yep.
Sometimes you get back-to-backs also.
Yeah, sometimes there's 2 games back-to-back. They try to avoid that these days, but it still happens. There used to be 3. It's insane. Yeah. We try to avoid that at all costs for players getting injured, so they don't like to do that. But there are back-to-backs and stuff like that. And you'll have some couple days off. Anyway, back to the Lakers. I don't think the starting 5 is bad by any means. It was decent last year. It's still decent this year. It's probably the strongest of their lineups is those 5. Their bench is very wonky. Gabe Vincent was hurt most of last year. Max Christie was fine. That rookie, I heard good things about him. We'll see. Vanderbilt was good, but also got hurt. Jackson Hayes was a solid big off the bench, and Christian Wood is another guy that's on and off. They're not the best bench, not the most reliable bench, and one of their best bench players went to Milwaukee. So that's where he went. So that the Lakers are a weird squad. I want to say they have to go and make some moves during trade deadline or something for them to actually make a leap. But what is there to do? I mean, like I said, like for Bronny James to even get minutes, he's gonna have to outplay Gabe Vincent and Max Christie and the rookie Dalton Connect. I mean, like it's gonna be tough. That's not like those are not players to sleep on by any means. You know what I mean? Bronny James will probably spend most of his season probably in the G League for all we know. Maybe not. We'll see. We've heard otherwise that he will not be playing in the G League, but it probably would have been better for him. But who cares? It's up to them. I don't know. They're hard to read. They really are. As long as you have LeBron and AD, you have a chance. That's always the case, honestly. And when D'Lo gets hot, he gets fucking hot. When D'Lo gets cold, he gets cold. And that's really the game of the game right there. Austin Reeves has his ups and downs. Solid player. Rui Hachimura, the same thing. But it's hard. They're hard to read. What do you guys think, Jawan?
First of all, I think it's hilarious that you should. I guess it's up to them. It's up to LeBron. I've seen that man check himself in and out of a game. I ain't never seen some shit like that.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
man just went and sat down.
And they got a new coach. I forgot JJ Redick is now the coach of the league.
They did. And if you think LeBron ain't going to JJ going, hey, my son, tonight, put Hachimura on the bench, put Reeves at the 3, put my son right next to me. That's what we doing. That's what we doing. And that's exactly what's going to happen. But yeah, no, this team is everything you said of what this team is very much lateral. Very much a lateral move. Whatever they were last year is exactly what they'll be this year.
Yeah.
If Dig is saying like he did last week that the West is so deep, this is not one of those deep teams. This is one of those teams that's probably going to be exactly where they were last year. Maybe going, them Golden State fighting for that spot. But yeah, I don't really have much for this team. Anthony Davis was kind of healthy last year, but their problem seems to always be Denver. So I don't know their odds of not running into Denver again. It seems to be pretty bad for them these last couple of years. True. So it's definitely not a championship team because you're not beating OKC, you're not beating Minnesota, and you can't beat Denver. So I don't really know where you stand. So I guess just enjoy allowing your son to tag along to make the playoffs. I guess is really all I can say for this team.
Good experience to have for a child.
Yeah, right? Again, I still believe LeBron should be smart. Go get a trade to Cleveland and finish his career there. That's just my opinion. I don't know why he insists on trying to die with this shit, but, by all means. It keeps the Lakers not winning a championship, and I love the sound of that. So, by all means, keep going, buddy.
Works for me. Mitch, what do you think?
This is for sure, at best, play-in team. There's no way they're getting to that top 6. And I know I'm running the risk of LeBron, Anthony Davis, and D'Lo pulling some magic out of a hat. And I mean, when LeBron is on, he's on. They can do it, but I don't.
You got a chance.
I don't see it. Again, for the third time, this is another team that's going against time, and more so than I think any of their other teams. LeBron's 40. I know we've said it in other sports, and Tom Brady proved us a lot of people wrong. I wasn't one of them because I said he can go until whatever. But at some point, age has to mean something. Father Time is still undefeated. And while I don't think LeBron's going to fall off a cliff or anything, I don't know if he has it in him to solely will everybody back to where they were. And I just don't see anybody else on this team being the necessary piece that they would have to, I guess, pick up the slack. Like, LeBron is probably going to get them still 90% of the way, but I don't trust anybody else to give him that next 10%.
So
Anthony Davis he has to prove to me that he'll stay healthy before I could count on it.
Let's look at AD is 30, played 76 games last year.
That's crazy.
That's not bad, actually.
No. Actually, how many of those games did he start and finish? I know you probably don't have that ready, but how many of those games did he not leave early? That's the real question we need.
He averaged 35 and a half minutes a game. I got that. He played the most games. LeBron played 71. and D'Lo played 76, but he also didn't start 70. He started 69 of 70. Did he get benched? I think he did get benched for a little bit there, D'Lo.
Yeah.
So, too.
Yeah, he did.
That's not a good look.
No.
So, but again, them and that
Third
coach
best
had
player getting
issues.
benched is crazy.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's not a good look. So we'll see how that plays out, considering they're not deep enough to have that issue. But La La Land is La La Land as long as you got LeBron, and he still looks good. When is he 40? Is he 40 now already, or is he
I
gonna?
think
December. No, his birth. And I only know this because the Ultimate Glazer in Shannon Sharp says his birthday every show. So I think his birthday is in December.
I think you're
So he's
right.
gotta be 40 this year. I did this year. So he's getting there, man. The mid season he'll be fucking 40 years old, and God bless him. He'll still be as dominant as he is at his age. It's not a common thing. It's more of a common thing these days, apparently. But it's still very insane that he's still basically an all-star at 40 years old. Bless him.
Well, we know what that is.
I mean, $1 million in hyperbolic time chambers and shit.
No. We know that that's because it's a popularity contest.
Well, I mean, he's also fucking great.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
No, it's not
8,
like his numbers don't scream it.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna act like we haven't seen people most recently be making an All-Star game off their name.
Oh yeah. It's been happening. That's why they did what they did with the All-Star game, so it's not pure fan votes. Because I forgot who almost made it 1 year just based on fan votes, which is insane. I wanted to cry, but it happens. It happens all the time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but these numbers,
Zaza. It was Zaza. I remember that year. He was almost.
Oh, that's right.
How?
I do remember that.
How? I was so mad. I was like,
yeah, but LeBron's numbers, those are all-star numbers.
Absolutely.
It would have been weird if he hadn't.
It's 25, 8, and 7. It's still pretty.
You can't have an All-Star game without LeBron.
He was 41% from threes, 60 from 2.
Like he shot his career high from 3 last year.
Yeah, that's insane.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, he's a 60% EFG, effective field goal percentage. That's 75% from the free throw. That's the only thing he can work on. Free throws, which I think that's always been kind of an issue. Not great from there, but it's not bad. Anyway, La La Land, both LA Clippers, LA Lakers. Doesn't look great, but we're gonna have to move on to the next team. That next team being the Phoenix Suns. Now, this team made one hell of a splash last summer, acquiring the big acquisition of Bradley Beal, making the big three a thing again for at least a couple minutes before they realized that wasn't the best idea. But hey, at least they're seeming that what they did by doing that is they kind of gutted their team, and they had a really, really, really weak bench. Now they did bring in Eric Gordon, and unfortunately for them, Eric Gordon probably had his worst season ever. It's like, I swear to God, unfortunately. And so now you have the Suns as constructed this year. I do like how it's more like a more typically constructed team. They have a new coach now. Who was it? Is it Bud? I think
it is.
It's Coach Bud. Yeah, Digi's favorite coach.
Yeah, I mean, he'll get you there at least. So the Suns, maybe they need that hard ass. They need it. So the Suns projected.
They know how to adjust themselves.
I mean, if anybody's gonna do it, it's these guys. My projected starting five for this team as of right now is the Tyus Jones, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Yusuf Nurkic. The bench: Grayson Allen, Monte Morris, Royce O'Neal, Mason Plumlee, and the rookie Ryan Dunn. Obviously, they have other guys off the bench I think that can possibly get some burn, like Damian Lee, Josh Okogie, even Bol, but we'll see. We'll see. They got some key losses in here, like Eric Gordon, who I said that was one of the bigger acquisitions they got last year after they got Bradley Beal, and unfortunately, to me, just did not have a good year off the bench for them. Even started some games for them because Bradley Beal was hurt a lot. And Drew Eubanks, who was their backup center most of the year, and he also didn't have a great year. That's why they're gone. Anyway, key additions: Tyus Jones, great pickup for Phoenix, considering they probably shouldn't never be able to get Tyus Jones because he probably would have had a bigger market at another time, but no one wanted to pay him, so they got him for cheap. So Tyus Jones, Monte Morris, another guy On the contract they got him is pretty good. He's a decent bad point guard. Who's a nut? So, well, last year they had no point guards. They go from nothing to two. That's already an improvement.
Damn, you gonna just put? Don't they still technically have Isaiah Thomas?
No, they brought him in at the end of the last year, but
I thought they still technically had him.
no, he's not on the team anymore. No, yeah, they didn't re-sign him. That was one of those we need to fill gaps type of signings.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I thought maybe they were gonna give him another shot. I thought he was still there.
It's still early. I mean, but to me they maxed out. They're at 15, I think. Oh no, they probably have one more spot. No, they got one more spot. If they want to add him, we'll see. As of right now, I think they already have too many point guards. So there's no room for him, honestly, because they brought in Ty Washington. You know Ty Washington. And Colin Gillespie, and I just don't see. I don't see why they would bring in Isaiah Thomas. Anyway,
no, that's fair.
They added more depth here, and a more suitable backup big in Mason Plumlee and the rookie Ryan Dunn. Look, I like Ryan Dunn. That was a guy I was looking at in the draft myself.
He was balling in Virginia.
Yeah, he's kind of a really small big because he's like 6'7", but plays like Kenneth Faried type. Let's put it that way. If anybody remembers Kenneth Faried.
I do, the manimal.
Yeah, he's kind of like that. So we're much thinner. Very athletic, rebounds, block shots. That he's a very defensive-minded player. Not much of an offensive player, though. So that's why you got everyone else, right? Anyway, that's their key additions, at least according to me. I like the start. If the starting five is this, again, I have no idea. They could also bring Joe Jones off the bench and put in Allen, who was the starter last year, and have Booker play point guard again. That's up to them. I don't like the way that looked last year, even though it worked only so well. I'd rather they play a traditional point guard. I'm assuming Coach Bud wants to play a traditional point guard. That's why they made an effort to bring in point guards this year. Jones, Montemorris, just makes sense. And look, Tyus Jones, one of the better pure point guards in this league, and that's all he has to do with this lineup is just distribute the ball, because Devin Booker can score, and Bradley Beal can score, and Kevin Durant can score, even Nurkic could score. It's not really an issue. Tyus doesn't have to score as much. Just do him. Now, that bench, Grayson Allen's a great bench player. Like I said, Montemorris is a great backup point guard. Royson is another great role player. Plumlee also good at his job. So, I like them on paper. I really do. But I don't know. They're definitely one of the better teams in the Pacific Division for sure. They'll be a tough out regardless. As long as you have KD on your team and Booker, it's just hard to say that they're an easy out. But they surprised me last year with some of the games they had. So, Didge, what you thinking?
This division is interesting. Like, the more we've gone through it. First, did you guys know that this was the most competitive division last year? Every team was within 5 games.
Damn.
I don't think that's the case this year. I don't think that's the case this year. I do think that this is probably one of the better teams in this division, arguably the best. I know the team we're going to talk about next will have a lot to say about it. They're going to have a lot to say about a lot of things. But I think it's tough for me to bet against a Devin Booker and Kevin Durant-led team. Obviously, the linchpin is going to be, can Bradley Beal stay healthy, or do you think that some of these other pickups can pick up the slack in the case that he's not? But like you said, on paper, there's no reason why this team shouldn't, like I said, win this division and probably compete with some of the better teams in the West. Like, this is, on paper, again, a really, really good team. I think a lot of the stuff that they had going against them last year, they definitely made sure to I guess, they addressed those issues. I'm curious on how Budenholzer's going to coach them. Like I said, obviously his last stint was with Milwaukee, and a lot of the things that got him ran out of town here was when it came down to it, even during our championship run, he just couldn't adjust. So there were instances where the players had to make adjustments for themselves because he just couldn't adjust. Either he wasn't making the right adjustments, or he was letting the same thing he was trying to give too many chances to the same thing over and over. So while for most of the teams in this division, their star is probably where they're going to rise and fall. I really do think with this team, it might be coaching. That's probably my biggest question mark for them. And not to say that Budenholzer isn't a good coach or anything, because obviously he's a championship winning coach. I don't think it was 100% just him, but I don't think that we got that championship without him. It was sort of like a mutual thing.
Right.
But I'm curious if some of the mistakes that got him run out of town here in Milwaukee, he's going to adjust, or if he's just going to say, look, that's the type of coach I am. I'm putting the trust in you guys as the players to do different.
Fair. I'm nothing against anything you just said. Who was the last coach?
Oh God! Before mine, I honestly don't remember their most recent coach. I can look it up real quick.
It was the Lakers coach who won the championship in the bubble.
Oh God! Frank Vogel.
Frank Vogel. Again, another championship-winning coach. They brought in, and it didn't work.
I didn't realize he was a one and done.
Yeah, crazy, right? That was sad.
And
I can tell you why they were one and done.
Decently, though.
Go ahead.
I can tell you exactly why they were one and done. Frank Vogel was brought in for offense. Their problem wasn't that they couldn't score. The problem was that they could not defend at any position. Any position could not defend. So you bring in Bud, who is more defensive-minded than Frank Vogel, and your hope is from a point guard all the way down, you can get better defense. Because that Timberwolves game, all of those Timberwolves games, was just an eye-opener for the new beast of the West. And the Suns won't them. They were not it. They couldn't stop anyone. They were putting Durant on Ant and couldn't stop anyone.
Yeah,
so I'm like, the defense was horrendous. That was their problem. That's why Vogel got fired. Because Vogel's out here like, bro, they're scoring. And they're like, okay, but what about stopping scoring? And Vogel was like, I don't do that. Like, that's not my bag.
What's weird. He was a defensive coach. And I don't know what happened.
I don't think he was. I think he was always an offensive coach that had defensive anchors. So it made it easier because David West plays defense. You don't have to coach that. Hibbert was just tall. You don't have to coach that. Well,
come on.
He did need coaching. But you had Lance Stevenson. You had Paul George. You had George Hill. Those are all defensive-minded guys. So it didn't need to be your focus is having to coach defense. But I think one of the things that Bud did well in that year that they won was that team could lock in defensively. They were locking up guys. Now, mind you, it's really easy to do with Drew Holiday. But that team collectively did, please stop me if I'm wrong, locked in defensively. That was one of their strongest assets was that they could lock in defensively. So
yeah, it was because that's sort of the reason when we went out to get Dame, it was okay. We can defensively, we trust our scheme.
Right.
We needed more offense because defense. I guess our front office felt defense can only get you so far. Some teams, even the best defense, they still putting up 115, 120 on you.
Right.
And that's just because that offense is just that crazy. Right. So we needed the offensive firepower to match.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. So for me, I think this team is fine. I think they'll be in the mix, but they're clearly on the outside looking in. I'm never worried about a bench of a team that has 3 All-Stars. You have 3 All-Stars, your bench doesn't matter because one of your All-Stars, if not 2, should be rotating with your bench. So unless, you're playing with Jawan on your team, you're fine. As long as one of your All-Stars is rotating around with your bench. So I'm not worried about their bench at all. But this team definitely needs to showcase that they can do it this year because the West is only going to get better the more these years go. And these younger guys get more and more confidence. So it'll be real interesting to see what team Durant defects to after they lose this year.
Seattle, in a couple of years.
There you go. Yep. or no, let's say they lose to OKC in the first round. Like they're 8th and OKC is number 1. He might go back home. You know how he does, right?
Seattle was home first, remember?
Well, no, it was, but I'm saying you're saying OKC becomes Seattle again?
No. Seattle will be coming back on the expansion.
Right. Okay. Right. That's what I thought.
That's what I mean.
Right.
I know if that happens, that's somewhere he'd probably want to go.
Well, I'm looking at whatever team beats him is where he's going to look to go. So
I'm sure that'll be everyone. I'm kidding.
it might be. Yeah, very well might be.
But we'll see. The Suns team is going to be competitive. I'm not sure, even with Bud, how much better they'll be defensively, because we'll see.
Right.
I mean, not with this roster, but I mean, hey, you might be able to be lead by committee. Never know.
This is what you got. I mean,
you might be able to play better team defense instead of individual. So who knows? Because remember, defense is all about scheme, right?
Yeah.
It's only when you're talking about stopping an individual that then becomes, okay, well, you individually need to know how to play great defense. But schematically, you can scheme a team defense. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, I mean, look, Joel, for the Knicks, how many times did we run into zone and it looked like we didn't know how to play basketball? So it's all about how you scheme things. So
matchups.
Right. Coach Bud can scheme something that can make the team look better defensively than they did last year. So we'll see.
We will. Anyway, that's all we have for Phoenix. Let's move on to the last team in the division, the Sacramento Kings. Woo! My projected starters.
What the hell was that?
I'm so excited to talk about this team.
Oh boy. We'll get there. 1 second. My projected starters for the team are De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, Domantas Sabonis. Their bench as of right now: Malik Monk, Keon Ellis, Trey Lyles, Alex Len, Jalen McDaniels. Key losses: Harrison Barnes, Davion Mitchell, Chris Duarte, Sasha Vezenkov. Those last two barely played, but they played, I guess. And those key additions. They were there. They got in some minutes. Key additions, obviously, DeMar DeRozan. The rookie Devin Carter, I've heard good things about him, even though he's currently injured. And Jalen McDaniels, who will or may not get minutes off the bench. We'll see. I like the Kings. They're a very good, scrappy squad. Adding DeMar DeRozan makes them infinitely more interesting to me. Not that they weren't already a pretty interesting team. They're legit, like starting five. And Malik Monk was a top six man last year. I love Keon Ellis as an on-ball defender. He was excellent last year. Trey Lyles has been even though I don't love the guy, he's been a reliable big man off the bench for multiple teams, especially Sacramento. Somehow Alex Lenson always gets minutes in this team. Always comes back. I always think he's out of the league, but he somehow manages to be the backup center in this team. But good for him. They found the home. And Jalen McDaniels is the new addition. We'll see if he's a nice lanky wing. I like the potential of Jalen McDaniels. Maybe it'll be in Sacramento because it definitely wasn't in Toronto. So Sacramento, Ditch. What are you thinking about Sacramento?
Like you said, this team is infinitely more interesting now that DeMar DeRozan's here. I was already interested, but sort of for the wrong reasons last year. I was really high on them last year, and they sort of laid an egg all year. Didn't even make the playoffs, which is crazy because I think they were maybe second in the West year before because they had a really good record. Obviously, they didn't go super far, but the idea was that, like, oh, they're a young team, so they were going to come back off of it. They were third in the West last year. Or the year before, sorry. So then, the idea was they're a young team. They sort of ran up against some more experienced teams. They lost to the Warriors. That was when the Warriors were basically...
That was their championship run.
Yeah, that was their championship run. That was, experience trumped the upstart youth. And then...
to add to your point, Dage, they fought.
Yeah, they won 7.
Right. They fought. Golden State did not just, walk by the Kings. They fought hard as hell.
Right.
And it was just experience over youth that season.
Absolutely.
And I don't remember any crazy pickups or losses last year. So everything was primed for them to basically take that next step. I think what OKC ended up actually doing, a lot of people assumed that would have been Sacramento.
Right.
So for them to take a step in the wrong direction to fall back to 9th was really insane to me. And I was super curious to see this year where do they sort of land after that? Because, like I said, Phoenix could argue that they're probably the best team in the division going into the season. Sacramento's definitely got something to argue about that. I'm probably going to pick Sacramento. Phoenix, they're really good, but
top heavy.
They're very top heavy, and I don't think they have a second unit that can take them as far as the Sacramento second unit could. So this is when I was talking last week about how a lot of teams in the West kind of got better, and we were talking about why Denver just didn't get better enough.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I meant. I think that they're going to come in hungry and angry about last year. And DeMar DeRozan, remember, he was in Chicago, sort of. He was still doing his thing. I mean, we played Chicago many times last year, and he was lighting us up. But he was on a team that we knew was going nowhere. Right. So putting that battery in his back up with a team that can go somewhere, I think he's only going to play better. DeMontis is only going to play better. De'Aaron Fox is only going to play better. Like this, everybody I think is sort of in that same hungry mode, and I think the Kings will come back to the form that we sort of expected them to be last year.
For real, I don't disagree with that. Juwan?
I was very excited to talk about this team because, like Didge, I do have this team over Phoenix, 100%. Joel, I've told you this for the last 2 years. De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis are regular season assassins. They do not have what it takes in the postseason. And that's not a knock like they're not good. It's a knock of some people aren't that, right? I think De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis are good to a point. DeMar DeRozan is what they were missing. The leadership and the ability to say, clear out, I got it. We just need a bucket. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. I'm a mid-range assassin. I got it, right? So, albeit I do think DeMar DeRozan is going to shrink this court in a lot of their fast breaking, I do think he's going to elevate them when it comes time, come postseason, because DeMar DeRozan, I really do think DeMar DeRozan watching Kyle Lowry and those guys win that championship without him has always haunted him. And he's always right, and he's always wanted to get to a point to where he could be in a position to do the same. This is his time. And now we're not saying that he's going to be what Kawhi was for Toronto, but I will say this: if Kings don't get it done with DeMar DeRozan, minus injuries, I don't really know what else you do. You might have to start thinking about maybe it's the players, right? Because I don't think it's
first step would be coach.
No, you're right. That is what's going to be removed first. You're absolutely right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You're absolutely right. But I don't think it's the coach. I think any coach you put in here, I think there is a cap when it comes to De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis. I really do. And if DeMar DeRozan can't get the job done, it's just maybe age is catching up to him. But this team is in a prime position to make a lot of noise. I think they could kind of look a little bit like OKC did last year. I really do think they have the talent, top to bottom, to make the necessary noise. It all depends on, can De'Aaron Fox elevate? Can Sabonis elevate? Because it's not enough to just be an all-star, right? Remember, we've seen plenty of guys be an all-star and then come postseason, that status just looks like it disappears. Yeah. You have to elevate past that. And they've just not shown the ability to do so. So, this could be that year, right? Third time's the charm. So let's see if that works for them. They have the shooting. They have the spacing. They have the rebounding with just Sabonis alone. They have the rebounding. Your bench is not a bad bench. And I think their starting lineup is so elite, you can kind of just swap out just a couple pieces. Let some of your starters rest, keep some of your starters in. You don't have to take out your whole starting five and put your whole bench in. So they also have that luxury, the same luxury a team like I think OKC has. So I think they're in a prime position. This is the moment, right? This is your opportunity. We know DeMar DeRozan had a huge summer with, not like us. That put a battery in his back. You know what I'm saying? So for the city, right? So go do it. This is the time. You've been waiting for a team this talented. You're here now. This team's been waiting for a player of his caliber. You're here now. So I believe this is starting to venture in championship or bust because this team is just too talented. It's way too talented, and that youth excuse is gone. It's gone. It's way too gone. So I do have high hopes for them.
This is a great acquisition, getting DeMar for them. Especially like you wait all summer for like your team to upgrade, and we just went through a couple teams who didn't really upgrade per se. Some technically downgraded on paper, but I think Sacramento did what everyone in Golden State wanted them to do. You know what I mean? Like they were waiting for that star player to come in and take the place of Klay Thompson and help Steph and Draymond. That didn't happen, but Sacramento went out there and got DeMar DeRozan, and that creates a three-headed monster in its own right. In a league that doesn't need the big three like it used to be, this is a big three that seems like it's more. It looks more. I don't know. It looks less clunky than the Phoenix Big Three. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And can I just say, Joel? I'll add this. This might be a hot take, but I'll add this. I think they got a big four. I really love Keegan Murray. I really love Keegan Murray. I think they got a big four. I think on any night DeMar maybe doesn't have it or De'Aaron doesn't have it, you can depend on maybe Keegan and Sabonis to go get you where you need to be in the game. I just think they're loaded in that starting five.
That starting five is crazy. Keegan Murray, obviously he was a former Rookie of the Year. I think he takes a step back because he's not going to get the ball as much.
But that's why I'm saying DeMar DeRozan's not playing 81 games. We know this. Right? And that's not even like because he's injury prone. It's just the idea of you don't want that guy to be tired out heading into the postseason. So Keegan will have a lot of moments to shine, and I think he will. I definitely think he will. I think he will be very, very, very good for this team. This is my dark horse in the West, 100%. OKC to me is the obvious. I know Dig, me and you differ on that. OKC for me is the obvious. This is the dark horse. This is the one team that I could see in the, heading into the Western Conference Finals, and I'm not shocked whatsoever. Not even by who they need to get there. That's how talented I think this team is. And like I said, this team is now run out of excuses. Run out of them. Mike Brown is a very good head coach. This is a very good starting five. That is a very passable bench. So I think you've officially run out of excuses. And you got your all-star in DeMar DeRozan to go alongside your other all-star in Sabonis. So I think you've run out of excuses. This is the time. And I think they're going to make a splash this year.
Yep. Three all-stars, a six-man, or a runner-up, basically, a six-man, Malik Monk. And it's hard to argue that they have enough to at least, like you said, at least make the Western Conference Finals.
And I'll also throw in there as we wrap it up, you are so loaded, you have assets if you think you need to go make another move to pair alongside what you have. So for me, I just think you're in a prime the same position OKC is in. I think the Kings are in. For where you have assets, if you feel threatened enough to go make another move, you have the assets to do so. But you're good enough as kept to do what you need to go do.
The scary thing about OKC is that how much younger they are. They're
right, exactly.
They're just so young.
Right.
Age is what's stopping them at this point.
Yeah, that's
really
fair.
Yeah. But I think last year was great for them because now age isn't an excuse, right? Yeah. You've gone there, you've done it. Well, not done it like one, but you've gone there, you've seen what it's like, the pacing, everything. Now, I think after 1 year of doing what they did, the experience thing has to go away. It just has to.
I mean,
at that point, Shea needs to just rise,
Absolutely, but most teams need more than a year to come back from that. But
team-wise, yes, but individual, like Luka, God of the Timberwolves. Why am I blanking on his name? Anthony. Yeah. Like, we've seen young guys do a 1 year, get embarrassed, come back the next year, and look to start to elevate, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. If you're Shea, I don't hold the same for De'Aaron Fox, but if you're Shea, that is what's expected of you. Maybe not your team, but at least you. You need to elevate to where we can at least say, well, maybe it's your team. Maybe we make some moves here and there because you're elite. So this is the year for Shea to make that, and for Shea to go out there and get that MVP that he was robbed of.
Basically.
That is fair.
Sorry, Jokic.
I'm not. Should have went to Shea, buddy.
It is what it is. Anyway, that is our preview of the Pacific Division. As we basically have it from bottom. We basically went in a different order. We almost did like a power ranking from the opposite direction. We went from the bottom.
We got stronger as we went.
We just kept getting better. I'm not sure Golden State's the worst, but
they're the worst out of this.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think you can make a crapshoot between Warriors, Clippers, Lakers. Like there could be a definite fight there for who's the worst or the best of those three. But Suns and Kings are definitely the cream of the crop in the Pacific, and we'll be here next week for the Southwest, and we'll discuss those teams and those stars and where we see that going. How they compete, we place them in the Western Conference. Until then, guys, do you have anything you guys want to close out with?
Make sure you guys go run up the numbers for Agatha. It is premiered right now. Yeah. As you guys leave this show, go run it up and make sure tomorrow after our podcast, you go run up the Penguin numbers also. I wish nothing but the best for those two shows.
Absolutely. Ditch?
No, I'm going to watch Agatha once we finish here. So.
Okay, cool. All right.
Anyway,
not plug it. Don't plug anything.
Oh, you could follow me at Dig_DEE everywhere. Also follow the Geekset Podcast at Geekset Podcast everywhere. Stay on the lookout for some of the stuff that we got upcoming.
Awesome. Anyway, guys, thank you. Come back next week again for our next division, and this has been fun. I can't wait to keep doing it. So, guys, peace out.
Peace. Hi, L'Oreal.
Bye. Hi. Both.
And bye.